Alright, guys. On June 27, 2002, was the day the ox, the quiet one, Boris the spider, or simply John Entwistle, had died at just 57 years old from a cocaine induced heart attack. So eventually, I'm just gonna say this what really did happen on June 27, 2002. So eventually, what I was really gonna say is this one. So, ever since Keith Moon's death back in 1978, dying at a very young age of a drug overdose that was hemavarian, which was meant to save him. So, eventually, what I was really going to say is that another member of the Who died, which was John Entwistle. So, eventually, what I was going to really say is this. So, on June 27, 2002, 57-year-old John Entwistle was found dead this morning in a Las Vegas hotel room. This was a shock that was considering how he was on the tour with The Who, beginning to play a series of dates in the US. So eventually, there were three members of The Who's classic lineup ever since the death of Keith Moon. So eventually, from that time until 2002, John actually did die of a drug related heart attack, which affected his cholesterol levels because he was smoking. So eventually, Alicia Rose, who was a stripper in a groupie, awoke the next morning to find John Entwistle cold and unresponsive. The Clark County medical examiner that it was determined due to a heart attack with the amount of cocaine, which Entwistle had a severe heart disease and smoked 20 cigarettes a day. Entwistle had undergone a medical examination before the Who's 2002 tour started. It was revealed that he even had high blood pressure and high cholesterol levels. However, on this day, the three of the arteries were blocked with necessary usage. So eventually, what I was apparently going to say is no one was actually aware that Entwistle really had a heart condition. But what I'll apparently say is that yes, John Entwistle really did have like a heart condition, which really affected the arteries. So eventually, what I was really going to say is this one. So unfortunately for that, what I was really going to say is that Entwistle really did have like a heart disease. Like I was just saying example. So at 3 a.m. after drinking and slacking off with the band members of the Who, John and Alison Rose did have like sexual activity before going to bed, but John actually did die of a heart attack before going to bed. Now, what I was really going to say is this: when you're just doing all these kinds of activities, it's important to have a medical checkup before doing these kinds of activities because once you do these medical examinations to say that you're okay or not okay with all these kinds of things, because Alison Rose did not know that John didn't have like a heart failure, like a cocaine infused heart attack at birth, but Alison Rose shouldn't have informed John not to do it. So eventually, what I was really going to say is that when Townsend and Daltrey found Entwistle lying dead, cold and unresponsive, it was apparently amended that the show had to be cancelled due to another sudden death of a tragedy who was named John Entwistle. So eventually, what I was really going to say is yes, the concert was cancelled because due to John's passing, and since John had died. But however, just one day after this, the Who decided to continue as a duo ever since Keith's death back in 1978 and John's death back in 2002. What I'll really say is that yes, both of them should get fired because Keith apparently did like stupid things like destruction of hotel rooms, destruction of toilets, killing someone. It is not okay. Because of this, Keith just like drunk himself like really hard. I mean, like drunk himself very very hard into the ground like that. So eventually, what I was really going to say is this. So they couldn't have fired Keith and John before their deaths. And apparently, what I was just saying is that no, if they fired Keith Moon from the band, it could make his life worse. Because of this, he's been having like his health deteriorated as well as this. So what I'm really going to say is that his funeral was actually held in the St. Edward's Church in Soho in Gloucestershire, England on July 10, 2002. So eventually for this, on Pete Townshend's website, Roger and Pete actually hold a tribute saying, "The Ox has left the building, we have lost a great friend, and thank you for your love and support." And what the news broadcasters really did say is that they were shocked, but people did get a refund after the show was being cancelled due to John's sudden death of a cocaine and drug-infused heart attack. Now, what I'll just say is this. If you have like a drug infused like heart attack, if you have like these kinds of syndromes right here, I suggest you guys not to do all these kinds of sexual things. It is not okay. And guess what? Once it goes through your system, you can die. And what I was really going to say is Alison Rose, who was a grouper in Strictly, couldn't have just stopped John from doing all these sexual things. But no, she wouldn't listen like that. So what could possibly have happened? Well, after the death of John Entwistle and Keith Moon, eventually Roger Daltrey and Pete Townshend began on the road again, performing as a duo, but replacing some band members, such as Simon Townsend, who was Pete's younger brother. He is still alive today, so don't worry about it, as I mentioned in my previous video just now. We have Pino Palado, who was on the bass. He was eventually going to replace John Entwistle for that. And there was a drummer, Zach Starkley, who was Ringo Starr's son. So eventually, yes, Ringo Starr, Zach Starkley, and Pino Palado were the only ones that replaced John Entwistle and Keith Moon after their death, but only going to do this one as a tour for the band. But anyways, guys, this is the story about what happened to John Entwistle, who passed away 20 years ago at just 57 years old. But anyways, guys, this is me signing off.